about it. Count its towers. Tell the towers. Don't miss this. Don't miss this. Tell the towers thereof. The towers of Jerusalem were the visible symbols of her greatness, her power, and her invincibility. Mark ye well her bulwarks and consider her palaces. This is Jerusalem, invulnerable. Jerusalem, invincible. Jerusalem, the city where God dwelt. Jerusalem, the Chaldeans smashed and shattered that sense of security and invincibility when first in 2 Kings 25:4, look, a breach was made in the invincible walls. One side of the Pentagon was wiped out, and the people who were in there, like the people who defended Jerusalem on that wall, wiped out. First, there was a breach in the wall in verse 4, and then verse 10 says they broke down all the walls of Jerusalem. They burned everything they could burn and took most of the people into exile. Remember, O Lord, against the Edomites, the day of Jerusalem's fall. The symbol of power was gone. The substance of their military and monetary power was gone. The towers of Jerusalem were gone. It took 8 years to build the World Trade Center. It took Solomon 7 years to build the temple in Jerusalem with its towers. And within 8 hours, it was gone. It took Solomon 14 years to build his palace. The symbol of wealth, the symbol of magnificence, the symbol of might, majesty. And within 8 hours, it also was gone. The writer of Psalm 37 says, look. They say in Psalm 137, tear it down to its foundations, O daughter of Babylon, you devastator. The day of Jerusalem's fall was a day that changed these people's lives forever. The day of Jerusalem's fall was a day of pain, a day of anger, a day of rage, a day of terror, a day of outrage, a day of death, a day of destruction. And verse 8 of Psalm 137 says a day of devastation. The people who sang this song saw their loved ones die. The people who sang this song saw senseless carnage. The people who sang this song saw their landmarks burned. They saw their church burned. They saw their town burned. They saw their places of employment burned. They saw their places of enjoyment burned. Some of the people they worked beside, they would never see again. Some of the people they walked beside, they would never see again. Some of the people they lived beside, they would never see again. And the day of Jerusalem's fall was a day that would live forever in their memories. The day of Jerusalem's fall was a day that changed their lives forever. The day of Jerusalem's fall was a day for the people of faith. Please don't forget, these are people of faith. It was a day of pain. It was a day of anger. It was a day of rage. It was a day of outrage. It was a day of terror. It was a day of fear. It was a day of death. It was a day of destruction. It was a day of devastation. And when you read this song of remembrance by the waters of Babylon, there we sat down and we wept when we remembered. When you read this song of remembrance, look what you see. Look what you see. Look. You see the people of God, the people of faith, move. 3 distinct moves. They move, first of all, from reverence. The thought of Jerusalem, those thoughts are thoughts of reverence. The memories of Jerusalem are memories of reverence. Jerusalem is where the house of God was. Reverence. Jerusalem was where the temple of Solomon was. Reverence. March about Zion and go round about her. Tell the towers thereof, for this God is our God forever. Reverence. The Lord is in his holy temple. Reverence. Isaiah said, in the year that King Uzziah died, I saw also the Lord sitting on a throne high and lifted up, and the train of his garment, the hem of his robe filled the temple. Reverence. The seraphim were in attendance above the Lord. Each had 6 wings. That's in Isaiah 6 with 2. They covered their face with 2. They covered their feet. And with the other 2, they flew and crawled out one to the other. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The earth is full, the whole earth is full of his glory. Reverence. Jerusalem means reverence. When Solomon prayed and asked God's blessing on that temple in Jerusalem, you know the story. Fire came down from heaven in 2 Chronicles 7, and the glory glory of the Lord filled the temple. The priests could not go in, and the people fell down and worshipped. Reverence. The thoughts of Jerusalem in Psalm 137 are thoughts of reverence. If I forget you, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning. Reverence. Let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. If I do not remember you, Jerusalem, reverence. If I do not set Jerusalem above my highest joy, reverence. But keep on reading. The people of faith move from reverence in verses 4 to 6 to revenge in verses 8 and 9. They want revenge. They want somebody to destroy those who devastated them. In fact, they want God to get even with those who did evil. Remember, O Lord, against the Edomites. Remember, O Lord, the day of Jerusalem. For the first move is where the people of faith move from reverence to revenge. The second move in this text is a move from worship to war. Jerusalem is where they worship. Now they have declared war. Let me put it another way. The second move is a move from the thoughts of paying tithes. Jerusalem is where the people of faith paid tithes. Solomon led the people of God in paying tithes at the temple in Jerusalem. Jerusalem, the temple of God, the house of God, is where the people of God made sacrificial offerings to God. Way after the temple was restored and rebuilt, way down 600 years later when Jesus was born, the temple in Jerusalem, the house of God, is where the people of God brought their tithes and their offerings. Jesus' mother and father brought him to the temple to present him to the Lord. When the time came for their purification and they brought us sacrificial offerings, Jerusalem, the temple, the house of God, is where the people of God paid tithes and sacrificial offerings to God. What does God self say in Malachi 3:10? Bring all the tithes into the storehouse that there may be meat in my house, the temple, and prove me now. Here with the second move in Psalm 137 is a move from the thoughts of paying tithes to the thoughts of paying back. Oh, daughter Babylon, you devastator. Happy, blessed shall they be who pay you back for what you did to us. That's payback. The big payback. Every public service of worship I have heard about so far in the wake of the American tragedy has had in its prayers and in its preachments sympathy and compassion for those who were killed and for their families, and God's guidance upon the selected president and our war machine as they do what they do and what they gotta do. Payback. There's a move in Psalm 137 from thoughts of paying tithes to thoughts of paying back. A move, if you will, from worship to war. A move, in other words, from the worship of the God of creation to war against those whom God created. And I want you to notice very carefully the next move. One of the reasons this psalm is rarely read in its entirety, because it is a move that spotlights the insanity of the cycle of violence and the cycle of hatred. Look at the verse. Look at verse 9. Look at verse 9. Happy shall they be who take your little ones and dash them against the rocks. The people of faith by the rivers of Babylon. How should we sing the Lord's song if I forget thee, O Jerusalem? The people of faith have moved from the hatred of armed enemies, these soldiers who captured the king, those soldiers who slaughtered his sons and put his eyes out, the soldiers who sacked the city, burned their towns, burned the temple, burned their towers. They have moved from the hatred for armed enemies to the hatred of unarmed innocents. The babies. Blessed are they who dash your baby's brains against a rock. And that, my beloved, is a dangerous place to be.